Independent now, Nick. And who was told to get off my land? But in a Welsh accent.
Yeah, well, it's Starmer. Starmer fled like a rat as angry farmers besieged Welsh Labour conference. Not just a rat, but a flipping rat. He said he was running out the door like a flipping rat. Exactly. And people are calling it disrespectful. Now, a Labour source has said it's just his car was out the back there, whereas his car was parked. So of course
out the back.
Yeah. Of course he didn't flee the throng of angry farmers with pitchforks.
He's not a wimp. He's brave
with literal rakes and pitchforks. And of course the farmers are against Starmer. I've said before, it's farmers versus Starmers. This is the UK now. Farmers are tied to the land. They live on the same land for generations. They're inherently, that you could call them de facto nationalists, versus the anywhere man, the Davos man of Labour, the atomised man who's more of a globalist, doesn't care about the nation. They're bound to be at odds. And isn't it interesting? The farmers are thinking about striking. Who went on strike under the Tories? Of course, the NHS, teachers and so on. And now under Labour, the farmers go on strike because those are the people that Labour...
When do we get to go on strike?
It's a great question. If you're sort of in showbiz or self-employed, never, ever, because there's too many people just wanting to steal your job.
Yeah. Well, what are you looking at me? Here's the point. The point is this, is that's how politics work. Politics work is you take money from the people who didn't vote for you and give them to the people who did vote for you. And this is, and what is this about? This is like what the left does. The left are, I don't want to call them murderers because that sounds too direct, but they're involved.
And you get sued probably by
someone. Yeah, would I get sued?
I don't know, and only if you name people. Could you name some people and call them murderers?
I think anybody who wants...
don't.
Basically, by not giving them £300, some people will die according to their own statistics.
When they were in opposition.
Yeah. And who are these people? Who are farmers? Are there many black farmers? Are there Indian farmers? There aren't that many. They're mostly white guys. That's number one. Number two is
I don't know where the ethnicity's coming in here, but...
Well, even Clarkson said that. He said that the Labour were ethnically cleansing the countryside of farmers.
Yes,
well,
it is.
They're replacing them with other ethnicities.
No, it's not. It's by huge multi-corporations. It could be owned by anybody, including Indians, Africans, Algeria, whoever.
They want to get rid of small farms full stop, don't they? One that former Labour advisor let slip, didn't he? He's like, we don't need small farms. He even said it on telly.
And what's going to happen? People will die. There will be no food.
Him saying it isn't necessarily proof that it's government policy or whatever like that. A few things here. Number one is I like how the farmer Gareth Wyn-Jones, he said Starmer's gone back to his London hideout, which is just his house.
Yeah.
it's like the whole of London is Starmer's. Who knows where Starmer is? He could be anywhere in London.
Well, you're saying that your home isn't your hideout?
Well, isn't his hideout Lord Ali's flat? Didn't we establish?
Well, that's very good. Yeah. But the real thing here is that there's a massive discrepancy between how many people this is going to affect. Whitehall is saying it's going to be 28%, and Rural Affairs figures saying it could be as high as 66% of farmers. So that seems to be part of the issue here. Also, Labour would say that they're doing it because there's a loophole where rich people can buy land, say they're farmers, and use that to not have to pay an inheritance
tax. Because they want
tax.
People to farm, because it's such a horrible job to be out in the countryside. You're not in Nunhead like I am. The truth is that all of this, all taxation is theft. And that's what Labour is doing, is just stealing stuff. They're stealing it. They're going to be killing people who are working
all right,
there.
Then. Let's move on now.
They're going to cut off our food supply.
More
which needs to be
news from Wales. You can go crazy on this one, Lewis. More news from Wales. Please don't tweet me that Lewis is right. I just can't be bothered. Sunday Telegraph, Lewis, and that, what has caused the cursed white majority been up to now?
The cursed white majority is Labour is going anti-racist action plan to build inclusive society for our black, Asian, and minority ethnic people. The problem is that the Welsh people, lovely Welsh people, nice, lovely, at least to me, great people, at least to me, they've been totally marginalised by the Anglo-Saxons, Picts, Jutes.
Oh, here we go. Not this again.
Yes, they've been So here you're going into this country, Wales, which used to own the entire country. They're the Palestinians of Britain. Basically, we used to own the entire country, and you're telling them we're going to give your home because your skin is white, when they don't even think of
the Palestinians. They immigrated in the last 100 years, did they?
No, that the Palestinians.
No, he means that you want to bomb them.
Well, we got to do something.
They have our hostages, Lewis.
Is that the Welsh people were forced to live there in the rockiest, horrible bit of Britain?
It's beautiful.
It's I don't think that's the main point. No. Isn't the main point a general attack attack on white people. I mean, they want to change the beliefs and behaviour of the white majority. I mean, that is shocking. That is a kind of cultural, I don't want to say cultural genocide, because it's the kind of thing you would say, but it's an unbelievable thing to do. It's an unbelievable social experiment. A government is trying to wipe out a people's entire sense of self.
The majority of the country.
Okay, wow. You're a real
No,
table
you're
banger.
totally right. Somebody has to speak for the Welsh people. The Welsh people don't even think of themselves as white, like we think.
Well, I say if they are or not, I say it's disgusting, but it's a sick experiment. I mean, why? What right do they have to say these people?
There's a chilling phrase in here, options for mandatory training. Have you ever heard of that? Options for an induction for new recruits. This is going to be across all departments.
I'm just going to get across how bad it is. It's kind of like a government eugenics program. It's not actually killing the people, but it's like we want to wipe out these people, their sense of self and their
sense
culture.
of self, That's why this country needs a Donald Trump to stop this thing. This is horrific for the Welsh people who deserve it. This is the Daily Mail. Somebody at the Daily Mail got a Freedom of Information request and trying to find out how many of these kind of like crazy situations are hate
NCHIs, non-crime hate incidents, which is obviously in the news with the Alison Pearson.
Lewis struggles with numbers and words. Just so you know.
Because this is ridiculous.
So it makes him an ideal panelist.
Yeah.
What this country needs, it needs the First Amendment. But it needs an amendment to the Constitution, but there is no Constitution, so this country is way behind. It needs a Constitution, and then it needs an amendment to it anyway. Anyway.
Behind? It's much older than the US. You copied us.
Yes, because you've done nothing over the past 1,000 years. You need a country to say, listen. Anyway, so these are all the complaints that were made in like the story in the first story that we did, where the Alison, what's her name?
Pearson.
Alison Pearson, or the Julie Bindel story. Is how many of those have happened?
This is a fun one.
How is this a fun one?
Because it's a couple having hanky-panky in the toilets in a club. One of them was trans. That's all good. And then
it's dark, things happen.
We've all been there. Who hasn't been to Thailand?
Who hasn't been kicked out of a pub for having sex in the bathroom?
Well, exactly. So the point is, they got reported for a non-hate crime incident for kicking this person out. I don't know if it's illegal to do what they did in the toilet, but the idea that that's a non-crime hate incident is ridiculous.
If you own a pub, you should be allowed to kick people out for whatever reason. I don't like the way you look. Get out of my pub. 86'em, as we used to call it in New York.
EastEnders style.
Yeah, my pub. Yes.
But in the wider thing, these non-crime hate incidents, and two things on this. There's someone here who's accused of a hate crime for saying it's a religious sin to be gay. So what you have is you have a multicultural, multi-faith society. So there you have many points of conflict. And if those are going to be called hate, and if those are going to be crimes, you can have an endless supply of crimes. The bigger question to me is, since we're talking so much about these NCHIs, why do we see them? To me, it's the ultimate route is you have a mass democracy, which depends on controlling people's minds at all times, because you have to vote for them. You have social media. So at all points, you have to monitor people that they're thinking the right thing. Thus, you have this endless proliferation of these non-crime hate incidents. Right. Isn't it a desperate attempt by the state to control everyone in the age of social media?
And it's uncontrollable, because if you say diversity is our strength, one man's diversity is another man's hate crime. So automatically, this guy who's a whatever he said that homosexuality is a sin, he doesn't think he's making it. He's diverse in his own way, but he's been told that he's not allowed to be diverse. That's why the government should get out of people's business in this country.
There we go. Right, more mail, Nick. And is this one divorce the COE won't grant?
So the Church of England is irrelevant to our lives, say Britons, as half say it should be disestablished, so it's not linked to the state. So, of course, in this country, we still have a monarch who is the head of the church automatically, but people are saying they don't want this anymore. 39% had an unfavourable opinion of the state church, just 32% had a favourable view. So this is where we are. And, of course, even though I would say we had a much better country when the Church of England was dominant, but now it isn't. And the reality is the monarch is a kind of an anachronism as the head of the Church of England, because no one cares about that anymore. And I would also add, although there are great people in the Church of England trying to keep it going, when you have people like Welby, who are clearly just managers of a woke institution rather than a Christian leader, and we saw that recently with his appalling behaviour. So, of course it's going to fade, and that's what's happened. The church has faded into nothingness, and now it's barely standing.
I mean, what do you think, Lewis? Do you think they should receive state funding?
I think the whole thing I think they should not receive state funding. I think the whole state should stop giving out funding. I think the whole state should stop collecting money to give out money. I think this whole Church of England schools, they shouldn't be affiliated.
That's rubbish. I went to one. Don't you admit, though, that not that you were necessarily here, this country was, maybe you were here, this country was better when it was just a Christian country.
I'm in favour of...
It's never been just a Christian country.
When it was largely a Christian country, that's what I'm trying to say. And I'm trying to get
you to admit
it was
also better when the pubs closed at 11 o'clock. You don't bring that back.
What's going to usurp this is my worry. If you don't have the Church of England, are you going to have other religions that perhaps won't be ideal for most of the panellists here?
I don't know if I agree with that at all. I think the country's developed in many ways, many good ways.
You want a secular country like France?
No, I didn't say that. But the point is to just say that everything was better 50 years ago and it was because of the C of E. I don't.
Well, it wasn't because of it, but it was part of it.
And also the fact that we've always, there have been other religions. I can think of one. It's called Judaism.
Right.
Well, there's just percentage-wise, that's never not going to happen. Is it? You're going to get. I don't know. Let's see what kind of country you're going to get with the decline of Church of England.
And why
I don't think it's going to be better. It's going to be worse.
Why should the control go to the whatever?
I think
British
it's more
government?
about this story isn't necessarily about the decline of Church of England as much about the influence on the state. With less decline.
It's the same thing. When it wants to, now the religion lacks so much power. People are saying, well, why should the head of state be affiliated with the Church of England? But that's only happening because the church is so weak in the country now.
Yeah, but do you think that, as you were talking about Welby, that the Church of England, unfortunately, is partly responsible for that?
Well, yes, absolutely. By becoming just another woke institution, they absolutely have had it coming. There's no doubt.
Right, which they believe in the government controlling everything. But the truth is that King Charles, I think Britain is a secondary concern to him. That's why he went over to the COP thing, because he's Mr. Team World. He doesn't care about it.